Hey guys, Sensei Tom down at Toro Martial Arts Academy. Now we're going to be looking at the purple belt level curriculum for the self-defense technique, okay? So, first one we're going to look at is a couple of lapel grab defenses. One is if the arm is straight. She reaches out and grabs the lapel. This could be your jacket, hoodie, something like that, your t-shirt. She reaches out with one arm, and the arm is mostly straight as opposed to bent and pulled in, okay? With the straight arm defense, again, for a lot of these, my hands will come up to what I call the surrender position. The surrender position is good because one, it gets my hands nice and close to their arms so I can grab it quickly versus having to move from all the way down here. And two, if a punch comes out during the motion, I can kind of cover up this way. So having the hands up here, always better to start than having the hands down here. So for my surrender position, for this, I'm going to reach across and grab her wrist with my opposite hand. My fingers are going to kind of curl and wrap underneath the palm on the pinky side. From here, I'm going to rotate her arm over by the wrist, keeping it bent. I want to have her wrist bent in 90 degrees as much as possible. And now from here, keep rotating until her fingers point to the sky. From here, I step in and I control the back of the shoulder, and I have my wrist lock. Notice my grip here. My hand is kind of gripping across the entire back of the hand. Okay? From the other side, she grabs the lapel, surrender position. I reach across to grab the wrist, turn the arm over, and I'm kind of using my fingers to pull the bottom of the wrist in so that I can keep her wrist bent. I don't want my partner's wrist to straighten out. I want to keep the wrist bent in this way, 90 degrees. Okay? From here, I rotate so her fingers are facing the ceiling, and then I apply pressure to the back of the shoulder and tricep area, making sure I'm in a good stance here. I want her shoulder against my quad so I can put some body weight here. Okay? I don't want my arm straight. She can stand up, and her arm kind of slips up inside my armpit here. What I want instead is to put my elbow on my leg, so when she attempts to stand up, now all that pressure is going right into her shoulder. And again, the whole time, keeping the wrist bent in and keeping her elbow straight. I don't want this to be down here. I don't want her arm to be bent. Straight elbow, bent wrist. That technique is called ikkyo. That wrist lock is called ikkyo, okay? Next one is the close lapel grab version. You can do this one-handed, but a lot of times we see this more as a two-handed grip. So she's going to reach in and grab with both hands, and she kind of pulls me in, okay? Ikkyo becomes difficult here because of the angle of her arm. She's rotated her hands in so much, it's kind of difficult to get that ikkyo, the wrist lock that we just did. So I've got a different technique for this one. Again, surrender position. I reach underneath with the opposite arm all the way through the middle, and I cup her elbow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull her elbow across, not just with my arm, I'm going to rotate my body so that we rotate both of our chest kind of in that same direction. From here, my arm is going to come around the shoulder, and I'm actually grabbing a chin strap grip on the front here. And then from here, I rotate the head to the outside, bringing my opponent down. For safety, I always cradle the head all the way down to the floor just so they don't hit their head on the ground. Let me show you that from the other side so you can see some extra details. Again, she's got me in close. I reach underneath the arm, grabbing the elbow. I pull her elbow through, and notice my arm is going to come way up like this. Don't just pull it to here. Let your elbow come up to the ceiling, and that really turns your partner's body so you're basically facing the same direction. At the same time, my arm comes around, and I'm grabbing the chin strap here this way. And then I'm going to rotate her head sideways, and then bring it down backwards and step back into horse riding stance. Again, controlling my partner's head the whole way so that my partner doesn't hit their head on the ground as they fall. Okay, very important to be safe when you practice. Okay, moving on. This time, two-hand choke to the front. Okay, so you could do that same ikkyo, the same wrist lock we did before, but I have one that I like a little bit better for the choke. This is called kotegashi, very common wrist lock. Okay, hands come up. One hand is going to use that same throat push that we did in the last video. As I push on the throat, she starts to back up. Now, I'm going to grab the wrist again, but instead of grabbing with the opposite hand, like I did for ikkyo, I'm grabbing with the same side hand. And I'm going to rotate the wrist to the outside. So now I'm grabbing the thumb side instead of the pinky side. But it feels very similar. Okay? Grab here, apply the second hand, and then the lock itself is two different motions. It's a compression in and an outside rotation. So what you get is this sort of spiral type motion that will bring your partner down to the mat. This way. Again, good horse riding stance. You could throw a strike from here if you want. You could back out. If you wanted to get into the ground fighting, you could drop down into a knee on belly position or any other ground control position, but we're not going to get into any ground fighting in these particular videos. Let me show you that one more time. Kotegashi from the front. Reach in to press the throat to apply pressure so she backs up. grabbing the thumb side of the wrist, and then from here rotating to the outside as I step back. Make sure I'm moving close, good horse riding stance. I don't want to be bent forward where if she suddenly pulled me, it would pull me off balance this way. I want to stay close, upward pressure on the arm for control. Then again, if I want to finish with a strike, I can do that. I, of course, can move into the ground fighting at that point as well. Okay. One more on this one is an extra control technique from the cross grab. Okay? So before we looked at the cross grab escape this way at the yellow belt level. Now for the purple belt level, we're looking at a control technique from here. I do the same rotation, but this time I'm going to grab the wrist here, or grab the forearm rather, and then I'm going to rotate the shoulder forward as I step in and control the shoulder. So it's going to feel very similar to Ikkyo, the wrist lock we did against the lapel grab. But here's the difference. In this one, I'm holding onto her arm, whereas Ikkyo, I had the wrist. Okay, so a little bit difference in grip, but her body position and my body position are going to seem very similar. So again, from the cross grab, I rotate, instead of just the escape we did before, now I rotate and I grab and I roll the shoulder forward and I step in and control the back of the arm. So that's called the cross grab shoulder lock. Okay, that's everything for the purple belt level. We'll see you guys on the next one.